Welcome to USA Facts and Quiz. Today's story is one of the most chilling and lesser-known legends of the United States. A mystery hidden beneath the waters of the Hudson River Valley. This is the story of the house beneath Hudson Lake. It begins with a simple disappearance. But as you'll soon hear, sometimes the past never really stays buried. Our story takes place in the fall of 1954 in a small town in upstate New York near the banks of the Hudson River. A quiet community surrounded by forests, winding roads, and of course, the wide, shimmering expanse of Hudson Lake. That October, a young schoolteacher named Eleanor Briggs vanished without a trace. She had stayed late one evening at the Sleepy Hollow schoolhouse, grading papers by lamplight. At around 6 o'clock, she packed her things, waved goodbye to the janitor, and drove away into the fading autumn light. She never arrived home. Later that evening, her car was found parked near an old wooden dock on Hudson Lake. The driver's door was ajar, the keys still in the ignition. There was no sign of struggle, no witnesses. Just silence and the dark, still waters of the lake. Authorities launched a massive search effort. Police officers, local volunteers, divers from the nearby county seat all combed the shoreline and the waters below. But there was no sign of Eleanor. As days turned into weeks, the official search slowed. But in the town, the whispers began. Stories about Hudson Lake had circulated for decades, whispered at fishing shacks and around fireplaces. They spoke of a house that had once stood at the bottom of the valley, long before the dam was built in 1932. When the dam was completed, the river flooded the valley, creating the lake. Homes were relocated. But one structure, an old, decaying mansion, had been left behind. It belonged to the Delacroix family, wealthy landowners with a mysterious history. In the early 1900s, the family had fallen into ruin. Several members died suddenly under strange circumstances, and in 1912, the last of the Delacroix line vanished. No one knew exactly what had happened. When the floodwaters came, locals said it was a blessing, a way to seal off a cursed place. But some believed the house still stood beneath the lake, preserved in the cold, black depths, and that when the waters were low, the house would awaken. In the fall of 1954, the lake was unusually low. A dry summer and maintenance work on the dam had caused the water to recede. That's when the stories began again. An old fisherman, Jeremiah Cole, swore that he had seen the outline of a roof beneath the fog one early morning. Others claimed to hear faint music drifting across the lake at night, a piano playing a sad, broken tune. Most dismissed it as nonsense, but not everyone. A young journalist named Daniel Reeves, working for the Hudson Post, decided to investigate. Reeves had a reputation for chasing odd stories, and with the town still reeling from Eleanor's disappearance, he sensed that there was more beneath the surface. Literally. His first step was to visit the county archives. There, he uncovered blueprints and property records that confirmed the existence of the Delacroix estate. The house had indeed been left standing when the valley was flooded. More disturbing were the personal journals he found, scattered references in old diaries and local newspaper clippings. Neighbors of the Delacroix family had long whispered about strange lights, chanting late at night, and visits from shadowy figures. One newspaper article from 1910 mentioned the Delacroix patriarch being arrested for allegedly disturbing native burial grounds on his property, and that was the key. The Delacroix estate had been built on land sacred to the Munsee Lenape people, who had lived in the valley for centuries. Their oral traditions warned of a guardian spirit bound to the land, one that would not tolerate desecration. Reeves was no believer in the supernatural, but the deeper he dug, the stranger the story became. He interviewed descendants of townsfolk who remembered the old mansion. Some refused to speak of it. Others warned him to stay away from the lake. One elderly woman, her voice shaking, told him, "That house breathes. It knows who comes near, and it remembers." Determined to see for himself, Reeves contacted a local diver, Jake Morrell. Together, they planned an expedition to the lake bed. Their first dive was on a cold, foggy November morning. As they descended, visibility was poor. Murky silt clouded their lights. At 20 feet, they began to see shapes, fence posts, stone paths. Then, suddenly, timbers, a peaked roof, broken windows. The Delacroix house stood there like a drowned skeleton. They circled the structure, marveling at how intact it remained. But something strange happened. Reeves's dive watch began malfunctioning. Jake's compass spun wildly. Then they both heard it, a faint, echoing piano note. They surfaced quickly, shaken. Reeves could not let it go. He prepared for a second dive, determined to enter the house. This time, they brought better equipment. On their descent, the lake seemed colder, heavier. Inside the house, they found a strange, preserved scene. Furniture covered in silt, portraits hanging crookedly on the walls, and at the center of the parlor, a grand piano. Its lid was open, and one key, middle C, was pressed down, as if by an unseen hand. On a desk nearby, they discovered a glass case containing a leather-bound journal. They brought it to the surface. That night, Reeves pored over its contents. It was the journal of Madeleine Delacroix, the last heir. She wrote of voices in the walls, shadows moving in empty rooms, a growing darkness that seemed to seep from the very foundations of the house. Her final entry was chilling. We disturbed what should have remained untouched. Now the house breathes with it, and when the waters recede, it remembers. Reeves dug deeper into town records and found a pattern. Other disappearances had occurred near the lake in 1935, 1947, and now 1954, always during periods of low water. Locals began to avoid the lake altogether. Even today, some fishermen report strange lights beneath the surface and a sudden bone-deep cold that drives them away. As for Eleanor Briggs, her body was never recovered. But when Reeves returned to the journal days later, he found something new. Pressed between the pages was a recent photograph, a portrait of Eleanor, her eyes vacant, her face pale. No one could explain how it had gotten there. Reeves left the town shortly after. He would never speak of the lake again, but those who live nearby still tell stories of a house beneath the water, of music drifting through the fog, and of a figure in a schoolteacher's dress waiting at a window. So if you ever find yourself near Hudson Lake and the fog hangs thick above the water, look carefully. But if you hear the faint sound of a piano or see the glimmer of a window beneath the surface, don't answer the call. Thank you for watching USA Facts and Quiz. If you enjoyed this story, please like, comment, and subscribe for more fascinating American legends and mysteries. See you next time.